Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Doug and I'm here with another fountain pen video for you today. I'm not in my natural habitat of my basement office because it has been turned upside down. But I've just been notified that my Pilot E95s has just arrived in the mailbox, so I've just trudged out to get it. So you want to see me trudge through the snow, do you? Okay, well, here I go again. Probably be skunked again at the mailbox. It's after Christmas, it still looks like Christmas. I suppose it's you people in the Florida areas and the Southern California areas that love seeing a stupid Canadian going to his mailbox. Now, let's see what we have today. Yes. There she be. Yay, Amazon. And I'm anxious to do an unboxing. I know how much you guys like the unboxing. I like the unboxing too. So let's take a look at it right now. So you'll have to forgive the background noise here. I've got space heaters going all around the house because my furnace died 2 days ago, and it's just being installed today, and it's minus 14 degrees Celsius outside. So we've been having a little difficulty staying warm. But that doesn't deter me from my fountain pen quest. So here's my box from Amazon. As I mentioned, so I got a workman going, so that's what the background noise is. As I mentioned before, this is a gift from my wife for Christmas. And here we are. Well, that's people drilling holes into my foundation. Here's the Pilot E95s fountain pen in burgundy ivory, medium. It was the last one. And it slides out in this coffin box. That's very nice. And inside we have the pen. No alarm, just the men working on my ducts. Pull this part out. He's got to get his ducts in a row before he can put in my new furnace. And there's the pen. Of course, I'll do a more in-depth in a couple days when I'm back on my feet and in my office again. But this pen intrigued me because it's a pocket pen, but when you uncap it, ooh, that capping mechanism is lovely, and you post it, it becomes a full-size pen. Right away I'm impressed with how light this pen is. So, and inside the box there is a cartridge of ink and a use and care guide, and I think that's it. And that's a nice little see-through coffin box from Pilot. So, as with all my videos, I will clean this out, I will ink it up, and I'll do some size comparisons and some dimensions and weights and so forth, and then we'll do a writing sample. And I'll be back at you in just probably a day when I'm warm again and the background noise is gone. Okay, I'm finally back. I've got my office back in order. It was quite a disaster. I had workmen tramping through here. It took them 8.5 hours to haul my old furnace away and install the new system, and it left my office in a shambles, full of dust. So I've cleaned everything up. I've been anxious to get at this pen, and here it is. So let's look at the parts and features of this pen. Again, as I said earlier, what I really liked about this pen was the fact that it's small. It's an illusion that it's small, but when you uncap it, it is a full-size fountain pen, very full-size. And those of you that have been following me know that I cleaned up and restored a vintage Schaefer Targa from the 70s, and it had that wonderful Schaefer inlaid nib, and I was intrigued by that. And now also the Wingsong 601A that I gave to my wife was this wonderful burgundy color, and it had that gold nib. I got an extra one for that pen. There it is. It's that conical nib that was like the Triumph. And so this Pilot has a lot of all of those kinds of features. And let's get focus in there. There we go. It has that slim design. It has that long section grip, so you can sort of write with it anywhere. And I was quite interested in how comfortable it was in the hand. Since I'm a large kind of fountain pen kind of guy, I like the large section in terms of girth. So I was intrigued that the pen actually feels comfortable, even though it's very slim. So again, it has this very unique inlaid nib that you don't see very much anymore anywhere. And apparently there's some history to this pen, so I'm going to do some research on it, and I'll insert a little section in this video just to talk about the Pilot Elite and where it came from. And this is the E95s, which is code name for the pen, the Elite that they sell to the West, as I understand it. And there is an E there. But let's look at the pen overall. It is very small when it is capped. There's a very long cap and a very short body. This little sticker here that shows that it's a medium comes off. The finial is plain. The clip has a very interesting shape to it. It's very reminiscent of the Pen BBS 308 nib. Very similar to that. And the clip is very springy, but it's on a hinge. So it's very, very usable. And there's a gold band all the way around, which I believe is, I think it's inlaid because it doesn't feel like paint. I can feel a bit of an edge there. So it's very well done. The cap itself is a satin kind of a finish. And what I like about that is it doesn't attract fingerprints. But it feels like metal, but it just feels like silk. It's quite extraordinary. There is a stylized E, which stands for Elite, right there. And then there's this stylized pattern of, I believe this is either gold foil or paint of some sort of a pattern, which is interrupted in the back, and it says Pilot Japan right there. Then there's a gold band, which is part of the section, and again that sticker comes off. a plastic body and a very plain bottom cap. It is a slip cap, but it's unlike any kind of slip cap I've ever felt before. The cap kind of grabs the pen when you get to about that point there, and it gets a little bit stickier as you go up, but it's smooth until it hits that little rim, and it makes a click there. So there's no real clutch, there's no real click to it, but very, very smooth. So you can see a bit of that clutch mechanism in there. Let's look at the body here. Of course, we were just looking at the nib. Of course, I focus on that nib. It's quite beautiful. It says 14K 585, and the 585 means that it's 14 karat gold. Pilot, M for medium, Japan, and 1218. I believe that's a date code. I'll have to figure out what that date is. And there is the plastic feed. This nib is not removable. And then the section tapers up all the way to the rim of that band. And then it is straight to about here, and then it tapers off just slightly here. The body, such as it is, this tiny little plastic cap comes off, and we see a Con 40 converter with those little agitators in there. It's a fairly standard small size Pilot converter. And of course, it also came with a Pilot cartridge, so it takes Pilot cartridges as well. Now, you'll notice that that sits in there very, very deeply. And that is because of the shortness of the body. So that Con 40 goes in there, and you can't see the ink level at all unless you pull the converter out. Which again, for the interesting design of this pen, that's something they had to do to be able to accommodate that small body. And there's metal threads there. That's stainless steel looking, and this is gold plated looking, but I bet you it's not gold plate. But that is 14 karat gold. It is a medium nib that comes in extra fine, fine, medium, and broad. I believe it comes in a broad. Don't quote me on that, I'll find out. And when you post it, this pen is designed to be posted. So that's how it works. And it fits very long in the hand, and you can write anywhere up and down. I understand from other users, Gadget Stop, Kathy, has one of these, and actually it inspired me to buy this one because it was so beautiful, and I saw her video. She says if you hold it down here, you'll get ink on your fingers. I don't think I would ever hold it down that far. This is where I'll write with it. So that's the parts and features of the pen. And now I'm going to ink it up, and I've chosen, get that beautiful color going there, Yama-Budo, Iroshizuku, to sort of match this beautiful pen. So I'll see whether I can ink this up on camera without making a complete fool of myself. And take the body off, retract the piston all the way, dip the nib into the ink. I've already cleaned this out. So I'm going to do it a couple of times. Yeah, there's some bubbles. That's good news. So I'm assuming I'm getting a good fill there. Now I might not ink this pen this way all the time. I might just fill the converter with my syringe, because I don't really like wasting all this ink or getting it on my fingers, especially Yama-Budo. And I like the nib to be fairly clean as well. There we go. So put that back together again. Like that. Recap our ink. And let's just take a little peek here. Get focused in. Camera's not working today for some reason. I'm just going to pull this out. Look at that. Let's pull this out and see how much I got. Well, that's interesting. So I got probably about a half of that filled. Which is fine. This is not designed to carry a lot of ink, I don't think. So anyway, well, first we'll do measurements and size comparisons, and then I'll be back with a writing sample of the Pilot E95s. It's Merry Christmas to Doug. Yay! Here's a little background on the Pilot E95s. The Pilot Pen Corporation was founded by Ryosuke Namiki with Masayo Wada in 1918 under the name of the Namiki Manufacturing Company. The name of the Pilot E95s derives from the word elite, and the 95th anniversary of the Pilot Pen Corporation in 2013, and the S stands for short. The E95s fountain pen was released by Pilot in 2014 in celebration of their 95th anniversary. And the design of the pen is based on the Pilot Elite fountain pen from 1975. The Elite fountain pen was a very popular series of pens in Japan from the late 60s on. The pen has the elegant, streamlined look of a classic 1960s fountain pen. When first introduced in the early 1960s, the Elite series of pens were very popular with those who like short, pocket-sized design. Here is a short video of a Japanese commercial for the Elite that dates from a Pilot ad campaign in 1969. In it, the actor Kyosen Ohashi, who was famous in Japan at the time, reads some advertising copy and pretends to be unhappy with it and adds his own ad-lib, looking into the camera and saying, "Hapa fumi fumi. You know what I mean, right?" Well, no one knew what he meant by Hapa fumi fumi, but because Ohashi was a star, no one questioned him. He continued to confidently use the phrase over and over in various Japanese media, with everyone pretending they knew what he meant. The phrase became a popular Japanese catchphrase. The pen became popular as well. Many thanks to the Fountain Pen Network for this background information. Okay, so it's the writing sample part of the video, and I've been writing with this pen for a couple of days now, and it is just glorious. I love the way this pen posts. So, we have the Pilot E95s. This is a 14 karat gold nib, and it is a medium. The ink today is Iroshizuku Yama-Budo. And as you can see, this is a very wet writer. Right out of the box. And smooth. My dad used to make fun of Red Skelton, or laugh at Red Skelton when he did Guzzler's Gin. Smooth. Unbelievably smooth. Now, the line it puts down is what I would call fine to medium. It is certainly no thicker than a Western medium, and it is smooth in all directions. And there is, you can push a little bit of line variation out of this, so just regular line, and it does spring a little bit, but this is a fairly stiff nib for gold. But boy, that smoothness is just unbelievable. So very, very little line variation. I would expect that maybe if you had a fine, you might be able to get more line variation out of that. But let's do some writing here. Beautiful. Lovely to hold. Let's see about reverse writing. No, it doesn't do reverse. It isn't all that scratchy, but it just doesn't seem to run any ink. And about fast writing. Yeah, the feed shows no difficulty in keeping up. This is very, very wet. I'm loving how the Yama-Budo shades as well. Maybe you're not seeing this on camera, but I'm seeing it. Some lovely shading out of this ink. So let's look at an evaluation for this pen. As always, I do a 4-category thing: design and build, and writing and feel, and the overall look, and the overall value of the pen. Each category is out of 4, 4 being perfect, 3 being above average, 2 being a pass, and 1 being a fail, with 0 being an absolute no-show, wash out. Okay, so in terms of design and build, well, I've heard a lot of people talk about Pilot and their quality control. There's no doubt that this is an extremely well-designed, well-engineered, flawlessly put together pen. From that little hinge clip to the way that band sinks into the surface there, to the feel of that cap, it's just like luxury. To the balance of this pen, the way that slip cap works, it's just it's an experience, right? Fountain pen writing is a tactile, sensual experience, and I'm finding it extraordinary how the human touch can differentiate between something that in a photo looks exactly the same, but when you touch it, you know that that's got a different feel to it than plastic or than metal or something cheap. Like the difference between a fine acrylic and cheap plastic, you can tell. I've got some cheap plastic fountain pens that just feel like they're not even worth 50 cents. This one is very light, so it isn't the weight. It certainly is almost insubstantial, the weight of this pen. But you're feeling luxury and quality. So in terms of design and build, it's almost flawless. I can knock it a half a point on design, and that would be two things. One, in that you can't see how much ink is left there. I understand why, but perhaps they might think about putting an ink window in here in some way to be able to alleviate that problem. And the other is the ink capacity. Now, you can get more ink capacity if you use a cartridge, because that will take more ink than the converter will. But ink capacity and being able to tell how much ink is left are two things that should probably be of concern on this model if you're going to buy it. So I'm going to give it 3.5 there. In terms of writing, well, it's just a dream. In terms of feel, it's just a piece of luxury. So no questions there. And just look at this pen. Now, they modeled this. There's a black version with gold, and they modeled this one apparently for the feminine market, but not being feminine myself, I can tell you that I love this pen, and I chose it over the black and gold one because of how elegant it looks. It's very sophisticated looking pen. I don't think it looks feminine at all. And if you think it looks feminine, I don't care. I love it anyway. So, in terms of look, it's a 4. In terms of value, I'm going to knock it half a point there. This pen was $145 roughly on Amazon. That's Canadian money. And I know that I have fountain pens that are between $30 and $40 US that rival the look and the feel. And I'm talking to you, my Pen BBS friends over there on Facebook. Yes, the Pen BBS pens can rival a $150 Pilot, I think. So there are values better than this out there, but for $150 and a gold nib. Now, you can be a stuck-up person and say, well, it's only gold for me, but I don't feel a lot of difference between a really first-rate steel nib and this gold nib. The look of it, of course, that gold is just gorgeous, but there isn't a lot of performance difference, I don't think, in the gold nib. But this is my first gold nib, so I love it, and it's certainly, I don't mind that, other than the fact that it was given to me. So it's a gift. So 3.5 there. So we're looking at 15 out of 16 for this fountain pen. So if you liked this video, please like and subscribe, and hit that bell if you want to be notified of any videos coming up. And it just leaves me to say thank you for watching. And that's all she wrote.